Minds and Wellbeing. It's Anne Phillips and
Nico Morales, rolling with you guys today.
week number 5. We are here. We're locked in. Quick recap if you have missed it. Week 1. Who are you? That's basically where we were looking at who we are, the choices that we make, all that kind of lovely stuff. Week 2, challenged, id, ego, self-care. Everybody, we were talking to you all. Week 3, ask yourself why. Why that decision? Why that thing? Why are you stuck? And then it was week 4, it will speak for itself. Your work, your life, your actions, all of that. So tonight, we probably won't reveal a title until later. It will jump at us. But Nick, one term I heard earlier today, right? And I thought to myself, you know what? This is really one of those interesting ones. You're on social media. You're not being social. What do you think of that?
Man, social media is not social whatsoever. No, so here's why I think that. Let me put it this way, give you guys a recap of my social media experience. I grew up in the era where social media came out. I'm older than Google. When Facebook popped up, I remember I was a freshman, sophomore in high school. Like, this stuff is not as social as people think it is.
That's right.
Social, I remember having to know the neighborhood kids and play with them. That was being social. I remember going to the mall to be social. I remember having to call people, talk to their parents before I talked to them to learn my social skills. So social media isn't social because there's too much access of in and out, right? You can pop in, leave a couple comments, pop right back out. And then if you don't like the comments, you can delete them. That's not social. That's just you vocalizing opinion. And I'll put this on top of there. I don't think everybody should be vocalizing their opinion. There's some people who should just keep their mouth shut. And social media, unfortunately, takes that away. But yeah, social media is not social. I agree with that statement 100%. What about you?
I absolutely do agree with it. Social media nowadays is great for getting your message out there and speaking to people and connecting. People are building communities. Yeah, that's great. But then there are those who, for no reason at all, I watched a particular podcast and they showed something, and the comments that were left were terrible, absolutely appalling. And the thing is, it's like, why are you attacking someone when the person hadn't even attacked anything that you'd done? But that's what social media has allowed. People control people. People can, like you say, just leave whatever comment. But for me, being on social media, I just see it as a real way to connect and engage with like-minded people. And out of it, there have been some amazing real life connections. Real life connections. Where did you meet? Social media. I actually have a friend who got married to someone that she had met, and they're in an amazing marriage. Like, 3 years down the line now, it's going extremely well. But there's all of those kind of things, but the overemphasis on the social is one of the things you rightfully said. There is at the moment in China, I want to say an epidemic almost of loneliness, right? They all have social media, but a lot of them aren't connected to another set of family. A lot of people left the village to go and work in the city and all that. And then they've connected socially, but it's not social. It's amazing how out of what can seem like one really connected situation, it has spawned the absolute opposite. But I got to tell you, there's a guy who saw what the epidemic was happening. He created an agency. You can rent a parent, grandparent, family members, children, right? But the children obviously come with parents, to take you to graduation and all of this sort of stuff. Now, the reason I'm bringing all of this up is we may laugh at all of that, but psychologically speaking, how damaging is that? What are your
Oh,
thoughts on that?
you said a word that I really popped out to me, and I want to kind of talk about with what you just asked me, and that's connected. We think that connected means, oh, I see them on social media, we're connected, we know each other. I see their YouTube page, so I'm connected to that individual. I see whatever platform it is, right? And I know that we're using these platforms now, so let me throw in my hyphen for all the people that want to put in the comments while you're using it. Yes,
We are.
we are using it. We're using it to send out specific messages. But Anne, let me ask you this: are there people in your community that you are connected to?
How do you mean within the social media community that I'm already?
I'm talking like, are there people that you could call and go meet up for a coffee with right now?
Oh gosh, yes,
Thank,
absolutely,
thank
100. They're on social. They're, some of them are not really that heavily on social. Some of them really are, and it's a case of I could DM or I could phone up or whatever, and yeah, we could. That's
exactly.
connection. Mm,
That's connection there.
mm,
The idea that, hey, we're connected through social media and that's the only type of connection we have, that's what I believe we're really speaking towards right now, because
mm,
that's where the idea of being alone can spark in your head. So connected, we need to have a definition for that. For me, that means there's people that I can meet up with. I can go have coffee with. On Mondays, I have a person that I meet up with. Tuesdays, I have a person I meet up with. Wednesdays, there's a person I meet up with. Thursdays, well, I need to take a break, so I sit by myself. Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, there's people that I'm around because I'm connected to them.
mhm.
I'll even throw this out there. I have a younger sister. Me and her aren't friends on social media. Like,
Mhm.
we're not connected there because we're connected in real life. So I think
Absolutely.
that the idea of being connected solely through a internet browser when other opportunities are available, because don't get me wrong, for people who are across the world like me and you, this is the closest connection that we can make. And it's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's the positive. But the idea that we are connected and just by the internet, that's not a good idea. To answer
Mm.
your question now, point blank directly, I think that the guy who solved that problem by renting out relationships was a genius. He saw a problem and he filled it. So I love it. I love that type of problem solving entrepreneurial spirit there. But I also know what it's like to sit by yourself. I also know
Mm.
what it's like to be completely alone with nobody to talk to.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that on a continued basis will cause you to be unattached to certain emotions. So for me, I've spent years by myself. I did all of COVID by myself. And prior to that, there
Mm.
was years that I spent by myself in isolation without anybody around. So it is difficult for me to sometimes be connected to individuals because I'm
Mhm.
so good at disengaging from
Oh,
connections.
yes. You see, now there's about 3 levels right there that you've spoken to. The disengaging from the emotions. How do we attach to one another? The different levels of attachment. And some people will join certain groups within certain communities on social media so that they do have some form of connection because their real life is quite disconnected. So at least they're feeling connected on the social and they're building up these connections. And usually, if it's within the same community, eventually some of those people actually do come together. And that's a real good positive side of it. The other really positive thing, I think, regarding the social media connection is the fact of people will start in one area and then start moving to where they need to be. So if they need specialists, people like yourself and I, they will move into that place and start connecting with more like-minded people. And that draws us all in together, yeah? Because you've reached out in the community and you've reached out on social media. The internet has now made the world such a small place that I do understand about the whole loneliness, because obviously when I was younger and all of the trauma, there may have been that period where I was around a lot of people, but then there was that period of real isolation and, you know, discovering you. And it's in that time you learn how to reattach. My sister doesn't do social media, but like your sister, we don't need to. We're really connected. So there's a lot of, you know, the family that I don't have to connect on social media with. But it's one of those things that, as well, I know we have the good, the bad, and the very indifferent. And there are so many levels. And I discovered this on a particular platform. Wow, some people take social media to a whole nother level that I wasn't even aware of. But again, I feel that's just people moving to what they're drawn to. And again, psychologically speaking, that is because maybe they're going through addiction. You know, the drinkers or the addicts will, you know, come together to be connecting in a certain way and posting certain things. Have you ever found that? Because I know you were speaking the other day.
Yeah. Just to give the listeners a recap, I went to speak and I gave a 3-hour training for individuals who were going to be telling their story about how alcohol and substances impacted their families, right? But even then, one of the biggest themes that I heard in this conversation of 15, 20 people was, we have a community here. That was their whole thing. We have a community. Yes, we meet online. Yes, it's great to meet in person too, but we have a community of people we can lean on. Similar stories, similar traits. And that's exactly what we find online, right? It's easier to find it online than it is to go searching through the phone book and try to find a group, go into a religious organization and being directed towards groups. It's way easier to get online and just search social platform for a topic and find it. So absolutely, I think that it's great to have those environments. And yeah, there's individuals that have even reached out to me, and just because of the topics that are on my social pages. Hey, I need help
Yes.
with it. Hey, I need direction here. Hey, do you have some time that we can talk? Yes, perfect.
Yes.
But one of the other things I usually ask them is, who do you have around you? Who's on a constant basis? Because this is a one-time conversation. And even, try not to get too far off track. This one-time conversation that we're having, this connection that we're making, it can keep you going, but you need to find a community locally, whether that's in your house, in your neighborhood, in your city, in your county, that you can spend time with, because those will keep you going a lot further. I think about kids that go to school, and then like the first couple months of after summer program, they're doing a lot of recap of the last year because they didn't have that connection anymore, that habitual daily connection. The same thing happens to us. If we're not doing it on a daily basis with other individuals, then we have to recoup that at some point in time.
Definitely. And one of the things that stood out when you were just talking there, and I was just thinking, you know what, a lot of people, when they don't have the community around them or enough of the community around them, who is actually holding them accountable? You know, when I was working with the vulnerable adults with substance abuse in that particular area, basically a lot of people were only accountable to themselves. And if they did have family around, they knew how to make excuses. They knew what to be saying for the family just to leave them alone. And it's like, no, you need to be able to go that little bit further. And when someone is actually saying, you know, that's unacceptable, how are we going to deal with that? So we can take responsibility and face that challenge of not being connected, not being involved. It's actually really quite it's quite a serious thing for people to go out and make that connection. I wouldn't even I can't even imagine actually what the statistics must be for people who maybe work, say, I'm going to say Monday to Friday. I'm just going to make it a blanket statement. And then at the weekend, virtually don't see anybody or don't speak to anyone. I cannot imagine how high that statistic would be. And psychologically, that would be doing quite a bit of detriment to their mental health because they're not getting out, they're not connecting. And that's something that it's for us, isolation is not our natural state. Yes, there are individuals who do like to be alone and do certain things alone, but we all crave, even those types of people, other people around us.
Oh,
How,
absolutely.
mhm,
Absolutely. One of the reasons why I think communities like yours and communities like mine, communities like the one that we met each other in, are so
mhm,
popular is because of two factors: accountability and
yeah,
community.
yeah.
Those are the two things. And if we go back in history before social media, there was environments, there was, shoot, let's even use the gym right now. People go to the
Oh,
gym because of accountability and
yeah,
community.
yeah.
Uh, but prior to that, right, where was the accountability and community coming from? Well, there was different organizations. Went to social clubs, you went to golf clubs, you went to country clubs. They were called clubs at that time,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
And you were a part of them. You were a part of organizations and associations. And at this point in our time and space, those aren't as popular. It's easier to get on social media and say that I'm connected there. You were talking about
Absolutely. Mm.
accountability, and I heard a statement a while back that I think is prevalent. It says, a man or woman who is accountable to no one can be trusted by no one. At
And
the end
that's
of
the
the day,
truth.
that's
Hmm.
it. At the end of the day, that's it. A man or woman that is accountable to no one can be trusted by no one.
Absolutely. And one of the things when you were talking about the clubs, there was also camps, right? People would like, you know, you'd go off to summer camp, right? You'd spring camp, whatever camp it was, parents would be doing their clubs, you would be doing camp. It was that kind of connection. And a lot of those people, I have someone in my life who's been part of my life since like kindergarten, primary school type age. And that's like 40 years odd that person has been around. And it's incredible because you think to yourself, wow, you know, how did we meet? How did we connect? You know, it was that, you know, two different families connections. A lot of people don't have that because they move around a lot. So they do use social media to help them as they move around, get to know cities and towns. And, you know, my friend went to Hong Kong as a teacher and she met quite a few people out there and she's still maintaining those connections. She's been back 2 years. But the thing is, for mental health and your mental well-being, you do need to stay connected, truly, physically connected. There is a real there's a real benefit to physical connection. I'm not talking any sort of romantic connection. I'm just talking about being in connected in relationship with someone physically. There is a great release of oxytocin, a hormone that literally is cuddle hormone. You want to, you know, hold someone, you want to talk to someone, then, you know, that feel good. Oh, yeah. There's a whole mix of dopamine, serotonin. It's just amazing what happens to the body. Even when we're connected online, we can release like that. But do some people ever take it a step further and maybe have the conversations so that you can, be phoning each other or something like that to make that connection? Because it will keep you in mental well-being. Yeah, it will keep you in that place of really good mental health. Whereas doing the opposite is going to cause mental ill health. And that's a challenge we face nowadays. So how do you speak to all of that as well?
Find somebody to connect to. It's like an assignment that you should have, right? Like, how many people are you meeting? Every quarter, you should meet one new person just based on hobbies or things that you're doing. You should be expanding your network. That's how I speak to it. Talking very practically. Every quarter, think about meeting someone new, having
How do you,
conversations.
sorry, I was going to say, so if you're going to meet someone new, right? We're speaking to someone out there right now who literally isn't doing any of that. We spoke about the gym. So that means if you do any sort of sporting, yeah, you can go and meet someone. Give us another place.
If you have a local coffee shop,
Yep.
that's another place that you can meet someone. Local bookstore, you can go meet someone there. They're reading some of the same things that you're reading.
The library is a great one as well, because you need to be able to talk to someone. Where is that section? And then you can see who's in that section. Yeah. Okay. Let's give
and I
them a
just want to throw it out there that this needs to be consistently done. You're not going to walk in there first time, meet someone. That's not how it works, because that's how social media works. Literally.
Yeah.
It's how social media works. So you have to consistently go somewhere. And then if it doesn't work there, go somewhere else. If you do participate in any type of spiritual beliefs, your church organization, that's a great place to meet people.
Yeah.
If you have any type of strong beliefs, whether that's political beliefs, whether that's advocacy, whether that's animals, go to places and environments that are able to do that. The shelter, go volunteer with some animals. If you like a certain topic within the political realm, go into a debate club with those people. Like, it doesn't have to always be argumentative at someone's throat, going against someone. It can be just, hey, you know what? We stand shoulder to shoulder on this topic. And the more that you do that, the better it's going to be for you, because you'll not feel isolated. You won't feel alone. You won't feel so, oh, I'm the only one who thinks that way, because you're not.
You're not. There's so many people who do feel that way. Join a club. There's loads of clubs out there. If you have a passion, find what's going on in your area for your passion. And also, yeah, go ahead and volunteer. Go ahead and, like you say, be at the dog shelter, be wherever your passion is. There's so many homeless breakfast clubs and all sorts of things that happen. What is going on within your community? Because we've already established the truth about social media. It's good and its bad side and the indifferent. But getting out there and getting connected is what us humans do. We have done it from the beginning of time. We've come together to create villages, to create families, to create cities. We love being, even, the quieter, right the way through to the more boisterous. We love the variety and the connection. So what takeaway are you going to leave the people with today, Nick?
It's your duty to make connections.
along the same lines as I'm thinking. My one is take responsibility for your life. Just take responsibility in that area and go connect. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Someone can just say no. Okay, so we've dealt with the worst. Now, what's the best that could happen? This person could just be the best thing since sliced bread to walk into your. Actually, that's not a good saying. I don't even do bread much. So
It's all
anyway,
right. Over
yeah.
here, we say the best thing since green chili. So I get what you're saying.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So because strangers are just friends we haven't met yet.
Facts.
So we need to just go out there and connect.
Meet, connect.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because being on social media isn't necessarily social, but we have discussed the good and the bad and the indifferent of it all. Well, Nick, that concludes our discussion, our fifth discussion. Oh my goodness. You see, the reason I'm like that, people, is because Nick and I said we were going to do 5 discussions. But we'll be back, I'm sure. I really do believe that. I
We
really
will.
do. I
Yes.
really do.
Because
So
we gotta have people make connections.
exactly. And we're going to connect offline. We can speak. So that's all good. Definitely. So Nick, outro yourself.
And thank you guys for your time. This is Nico with No Halo, reminding you that you don't have to be a perfect little angel. You do have to do better today.
Absolutely. And I'm Anne Phillips for Music Mind and Wellbeing. I affect the mind to empower the person. And I really and truly hope these conversations have empowered you and changed you and stirred you just to do something a little bit different. Nick, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.